Welcome to the Fade 5 College Edition. Ben Wittenstein with you. Nate Jacobson to my left, to your right, looking at the screen. We're back for another week of college football bets. We did all right in the first week. I was trying to figure out also the loop and the music and trying to figure out all the graphics, but now we're all set. We got everything going. We know what we're doing. Nate, how you feeling heading in to week 4?
I was going to say the show technically could have been good, but in terms of the bets, it was not good for me personally. Just not a good college week, and it wasn't a good NFL week. So came back in Monday morning just thinking like gotta do better and maybe change my approach a little bit. And I think this week I haven't bet anything a lot, at least I was talking on Wednesday because of so many line moves that we've seen on Thursday, especially Friday last week in college football. So kind of waiting to see where the market takes us before making some of these plays, but I at least want to share what we're thinking about as of Wednesday.
Yeah, the line movement's been very weird, I feel like, this college football season. We talk about it in our little group chat and we talk about it amongst each other. But yeah, Friday's like the day everything moves. And you said, it's because a lot of sports books increase the limit that people can bet. So you have a lot of people hitting it. But it's been bizarre. We've been used to hitting a lot of these games early on in the week on Mondays or Tuesdays. But so far this year, that really hasn't done much for us.
Yeah, I think it's just there's a lot of people with influence and people have different opinions and there's different battles in the market where someone likes one side at a certain number and moves a few points maybe, and then another person likes that side and then it comes back. So I think the lesson there would be if you miss out on a number, and I've missed out on a couple this week in both college and the NFL, maybe wait till later in the week when some injury news or any just kind of resistance in the market comes back and maybe you could grab that. At the number that you were hoping to get it early in the week.
All right, let's start this show out as we always do with the plus bus. Odds plus 100 or greater, bets that we like in college football where you can get plus money right now. Nate, we'll start with you, and you're just going to start off high. You're starting off at one of the biggest games of the weekend.
Yeah, biggest game of the weekend. I'm going to take a shot on Oklahoma here, and I'm going to have a Gaming Juice article about this game where I have an additional bet on the total, so make sure to check that out. But I also considered Oklahoma plus the points, so I'm just going to give them out as an underdog pick. In the summer, Oklahoma was a small favorite in this game, so there has been a drastic increase in a power rating for Tennessee, and rightfully so, with Nico at quarterback, and then Oklahoma struggling against the likes of Houston, Tulane, especially on offense with Jackson Arnold. But I do like the price here on Oklahoma at home, SC opener at night. Josh Heupel, the Tennessee coach, used to be a quarterback for Oklahoma, used to be an assistant under Bob Stoops for so long, and then got fired by the Sooners. So there's some bad blood there. So maybe that's the case for Tennessee. But I think because of that, there might be some inflation here on the Volunteers. And I'm not sure how good Tennessee is. I know they have been awesome. They could be like a top 5 team in the country, but they played Chattanooga, NC State, who is really struggling with Grayson McCall before he got hurt last week, and then Kent State. So this is a real test. Nico's first true road game. Let's see what happens here. I think Brent Venables and his defense might have something up their sleeve for Tennessee's offense and kind of contain them. And in a close game, I'll take the shot at bettors and 2-for-1 on the Sooners in their SEC opener.
Yeah, I think you gave some pretty good reasoning there. I don't know if I could pull the full trigger on the Oklahoma money line, but I do have a trend towards the under. Earlier last week, looking at this game, I was like, this is going to be an over game, but you kind of do a deeper dive and you kind of mentioned it. It's Nico's first true road game in the SEC. That's going to be a lot of pressure for a young quarterback, and Oklahoma's got a young offense of their own. I don't even know if they have any like true good receivers at this point in the season. So
not that are healthy, at least.
Not that are healthy, absolutely. So you look at that game with a young guy on the road in a very tough environment versus a young offense as well with not a lot of proven playmakers. To me, that trends towards a little bit of an underbet.
Yeah, that's actually, I mean, I spoil it, but I'm looking towards an under. Find out in the article if it's first half of full game. That's all I'm going to say.
There we go. TheGamingJuice.com. Everybody make sure they go. My plus bus bet of the weekend. Not as good of odds as Nate's, not as juicy at plus 225, but I like plus 114 with Kansas, Nate. I kind of like this as a bounce back game for the Jayhawks. They have had a rough batch of luck recently, and I know all Jayhawks fans are feeling it. You just look at their post-game win expectancy for their last 2 losses. 87% was their post-game win expectancy against UNLV. It was 57% on the road against Illinois. This is a team that very clearly has the capability. They have the talent. They have the players around their team to be able to win these games. They just had some bad luck, some bad plays here and there that have really just turned the tide and made a bigger impact than they normally would. So I like them. They're going on the road against West Virginia. This is a West Virginia team off the backyard brawl. It's probably a good spot to get them, maybe a letdown game after a big rivalry for West Virginia. Jalen Daniels also, Nate, I mean, you look at his stats. He's quite frankly just not, he hasn't been great. He's been throwing picks left and right. He's had multiple multi-interception games. But you look at West Virginia's defense, and it's not very good. They rank 121st out of 134 in EPA per drop back for their opponents. They can't force turnovers. They rank 100th in takeaways in the nation. So this is a defense. If you're Jalen Daniels and you've struggled with turnovers, you struggle with passing, this is the exact defense you want to be playing, who just doesn't take the ball away very often. They can't get pressure on the quarterback. I think Kansas can go on the road and beat a team in West Virginia in a bit of a letdown spot after a rivalry game loss.
Yeah, my pushback there would be that maybe Jalen Daniels just isn't good without Andy Koldenicki calling his plays, who's now the Penn State offensive coordinator. The offensive coordinator now, Jeff Grimes. And I know the post-game win expectancy says otherwise. Kansas probably should have fared better, especially last week against UNLV. But it is UNLV after all, so it's not like they were playing a great team. Yep. So I know they were a little bit unlucky, but I was down on Kansas this year. A lot of people liked him because of Daniels, but I had real questions about the offense with Daniels having that back injury and then just a different offensive coordinator who was with Lance Leipold for over a decade, dating back to his days at Wisconsin Whitewater. So it seems like the Kansas offense without Koldenicki is a little bit different. Maybe they figure it out this week against a West Virginia team that you said could be a little beaten up and had a heartbreaking loss in the backyard brawl, but yeah, maybe it's Kansas this week, but I don't think Kansas is a bye team, even though they had a little bit of unluckiness.
I'm buying them, Nate. I'm being reckless. I'm going to buy Kansas on this game against West Virginia after maybe a little letdown spot. Maybe they gave a lot of their game against Pitt. But we are called the Fade 5 for a reason. We have 5 plays for you this weekend. Maybe a little bonus time after that as well. But we each have 2 plays. And then, Nate, instead of a play for our number 1 that we both agree with, we're going to go head-to-head. We're going to have our first little butting heads match in the Colorado-Baylor game, so that's going to be very exciting to talk about. But first, let's start with number 5.
Number 5.
All right, Nate, you will start us up for number 5. What do you like?
Yeah, it's maybe not the best game on the board, but I'm going with James Madison, plus 10.5 against North Carolina. Gross. Yeah, 11 o'clock start, noon local time in Chapel Hill. Pretty simple. UNC was a sell team for me before the year. Don't like their quarterback situation when you lose Drake May. Don't like Mac Brown necessarily as a guy who's going to win a lot of games, as he's kind of underachieved at his time in Chapel Hill in his second stint. And this is kind of the opportunity where you want to fade Mac as a big favorite, expected to win by margin, especially with what the quarterback situation actually has turned out to be, where Max Johnson, the quarterback, gets hurt week 1, out for the year. Now you have Connor Harrell, Jacoby Criswell. Both guys played last week. Criswell actually played more than Harrell last week, but it sounds like they're going to play both quarterbacks, which I don't necessarily like. And on the other side, James Madison, we know that they're a very good program, how they went from FCS to FBS, really didn't skip a beat. Unfortunately for them, their head coach, Kirk Cignetti, is doing wonders at your alma mater, Ben, in Bloomington, and he took a lot of his players with him. But JMU is still a solid team, coached by Bob Chesney. I know a lot of people like him. He came from Holy Cross. So maybe it's a little bit of a rebuild for JMU, but this is a big opportunity for them to go to a place where it's kind of close by, where you're kind of recruiting kids. You're not maybe getting the same level of kids, but you're also trying to win battles in a state like North Carolina for maybe some middle-tier recruits. And I know JMU off a bye is going to want to make a statement here against a UNC team that simply just don't trust when they're a big favorite, and they don't really have the quarterbacks that scare me with their arm.
All right, let's go to number 4.
Number 4.
Nate, get out the AARP card. This is going to be a battle of 2 very senior citizen quarterbacks in Utah, Oklahoma State. I really like the over in this game. It's a high number, but you're getting 2 veteran quarterbacks who know how to run offenses, and I'm going to trust the experience and the seniority on both sides. Cam Rising for Utah. Yes, he's been hurt. He's been injured. He maybe has a little injury on his throwing hand, but They say he's ready to play. They've been a little secretive about it, which makes me think it's a little gamesmanship going on the Utah side. I think Cam Rising hopefully should be good to go and fully healthy for this one. 25 years old. Alan Bowman on the Oklahoma State side is 24. You have a combined age of 49 years old, which, for reference, Nate, the Colts-Bears game on Sunday, the combined age of those quarterbacks is 44. So these combined age for this quarterback in a college game is 5 years older than what we're getting in Bears Colts. So I thought that was fascinating. But to me, that signals that probably these are going to be two high-powered offenses, and it's going to be offenses that lead the day in a game like this. Oklahoma State, for their part, I mean, Bowman's been great. He's just always kind of the steady arm senior citizen for that Oklahoma State offense. 45 points per game for OK State. Ollie Gordon, their running back, their superstar, I think you could say running back, has not been much of a superstar this season to start, but I know Utah's run defense has been decent to start the season. They gave up 4.1 yards per carry in their last game, so maybe there's a little bit of a hole for Ollie Gordon to get going. And OK State also just gives up absolute tons of yards per game. 648 yards they gave up against Arkansas. They gave up 300 plus to two smaller teams, Tulsa being one of them, South Dakota State being another. I mean, this is an Oklahoma State defense that is not very good. So I think Cam Rising will be able to take advantage of that. And I think Oklahoma State's offense, led by Bowman, should take advantage of maybe a Utah defense that won't be able to handle the experience and the veteran presence and the playmakers on Oklahoma State's side. So 54.5. I love the over here. It's going to be the Senior Citizen Bowl. Very excited. A lot of experience. I think we're just going to see a lot of points.
Yeah, I don't mind that play at all. Very fascinated to see this game. Huge for Big 12 implications. So if Rising's in, then I think you have a good bet there with the over.
Let's hope he's fully healthy. It's been a little nervous kind of following the injury. Let's go to number 3.
Number 3.
Yeah, we're going to another big game, but this time an under instead of an over. And we're going under 44.5 in USC-Michigan. This has ticked down 2 points today, where it was pretty much 46.5 after the dust settled after the openers on Sunday. But when you think about this game, you think about what Michigan has been this season. It's been an offense without an identity, but a defense that returned a lot of players and kind of got smacked around by Texas, but still, I think, could give an inspired effort at home. The big news was Michigan naming Alex Orji as the starting quarterback after starting Davis Warren for 3 games. Orji, not an accurate passer at all, so you're going to expect a lot of running from Michigan, which means chewing clock, keeping USC's offense off the sideline. I do like USC's offense. Miller Moss has been really solid running Lincoln Riley's system, but it is still his first true road start, so not sure what to expect there from Moss. So I kind of trust the USC's defense, which is crazy to say, led by D'Anton Lynn, to have a really good, just kind of force Alex Orji to beat you with his arm. He probably won't. And for that reason, I like this under a lot. I could see a slow start here in Ann Arbor, so you can even tack on some first half under, but I also could see this going just full game under and a real struggle for points in Ann Arbor on Saturday afternoon.
It's nuts that we're talking about serviceable USC defense.
Yeah.
Even to say good and USC defense in the same sentence with not in between, it's bizarre. It's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, but they're really well coached. They don't maybe have as much talent as some other Big Ten defense, like the elite defense, but D'Anton Lynn, who USC took from UCLA last year, and you think of UCLA's defense last year, that was a really strong unit with a couple draft picks. So yeah, he's definitely getting the most out of the players there, and it's something Lincoln Riley badly needed because he's always had good offense as a career, but his defense has always been lacking, especially when he was employing his good friend Alex Grinch, who he kicked to the curb last season.
I'm honestly rightly so, but I love this bet, Nate. I really agree with you. I think I would not be surprised if this number continues to go down throughout the week and into the weekend. But to me, it seems like a game Michigan knows that offensively they're going to struggle to win this game. So they're going to probably try to muck up this game as much as possible, make it dirty, make it the 1950s style Big Ten offense, 3 yards in a cloud of dust, and just really play that option football game. It's going to take time off the clock. There's no guarantee they're even going to score. And then on the defensive side, they'll hopefully be able to hold Miller Moss and that USC offense at bay. I really do like this under. I mean, I could see like a 17-10 kind of game, 16-13 kind of thing happening at the big.
Sign me up for that.
You're like, I love that. Not even getting to 40. Don't forget, you can sign up for a free account at the Gaming Juice before we get to our number 2 and our number 1 picks. You can go on the website. It's all free. FREE, everybody. If it's free, It's for me. It should be for you too. Everyone loves some free content. You can read Nate. You can read myself. You can read Brad Evans. He does a great job with his NFL articles and his fantasy football articles. So it's all free. Get an account. You can ask us questions. Do a whole lot of fun. It's a very good time on thegamingjuice.com. Number two, Nate, we're going to go to Michigan State. And this is a team that we haven't really talked about very often, to be quite honest. But Michigan State, to me, is a very interesting team. They're 3-0, and now they travel to Boston College for a game where they are underdogs of a touchdown at +7. To me, I don't understand this line fully. I'm almost to the point where I'm like, how is this not almost Michigan State favored? And I know Boston College has done a really good job. I need to hear your argument against this because I know Boston College has shown to be very good. Bill O'Brien has done a tremendous job with that team, turning them around. They look like an actual very good football team, but their win against Florida State to start the season doesn't look as strong as it did. They played some okay competition, then they played Mizzou, and they got a last minute touchdown in that game to make the score look a little bit better than what I think that game actually looked like. They had a decent first quarter, maybe first half of Mizzou was clearly the stronger team. Boston College honestly didn't have a shot in this. But MSU, their defense, specifically their defense, did you know they lead the Big Ten in tackles for loss? They're second in the Big Ten in sacks per game. This is a defense that I think can get to Thomas Castellanos as Boston College's quarterback. I think he might struggle a little bit against this Michigan State defense that I think is being undervalued. So to get 7 points for Michigan State, I know it's a road game, but I do think these teams are much closer in talent and ability than this line suggests. I'm going to take the Spartans plus the points.
Yeah, I actually was thinking of the other side in this game. I know you mentioned that Michigan State's defense has had some nice stats, but last week they played Prairie View.
They did.
Week one, they played FAU, and I'm pretty sure the weather was pretty bad. And then they beat Maryland, and I'm just not a Maryland guy this year. It was kind of a lucky comeback win as well, where you're down by 7 in the fourth quarter. A little bit fortunate to win that game. I know Maryland was favored by over a touchdown, so that was a big upset win and comeback win for Jonathan Smith. So I think Michigan State's gonna be fine long term. But against a Boston College who has just kind of impressed me, Castellanos, the quarterback, Bill O'Brien just kind of seems like he has the team just well coached and ready and prepared. And I think this would be an opportunity where Boston College is going to want to do well. And it's also the red bandana game. So
it is.
If that's something that I don't know if you knew, it might worry you. But
yeah,
that Boston College always shows up for that. Maybe not to cover the spread, but I would side with Boston College, and if you wanted to give me Michigan State being the favorite in that game, I would gladly take it at your credit shop.
Well, there's a reason I didn't make this the plus bet because I like Kansas to win a lot more than I like Michigan State to win. But I did right for the gaming juice. I said maybe this has the wrong team favored, so we'll have to see on Saturday what happens if that Michigan State, if that Big Ten talent can maybe do something there.
It is a Big Ten team, but they're not there yet. There was a team that had a lot of transfers. They lost a lot of guys in the spring window. A player to Oregon, I know. Like it's a team that they might show some nice things this year, but it's going to be tough for them, especially next week. They play Ohio State, and the week after on short rest play at Oregon, then Iowa, then at Michigan, then Indiana. So, yeah, I guess Michigan State probably has to win this game if they want to go bowling. But I don't see it, especially it looks like that upcoming schedule is really going to be difficult.
Number one
on the slate, Nate. This is the first one for us. We're butting heads.
Disagree again.
We disagree again. 2 disagreements
Just
in a
totally
row.
fine.
This is fun. This is what it's meant to be. So I'll let you start out. For Baylor, because you're on the Baylor side of the Baylor-Colorado game. You like their money line. I like Colorado's. What do you like about the Bears?
Yeah, so Baylor-Colorado, a Big 12 opener for both teams. I know Baylor did play Utah in week 2, but that technically was not a conference game because Baylor and Utah already had a home-and-home agreement before the Big 12 combining and inviting Utah. So technically this is 0. Both teams are 0-0 on the conference record as they start their journey through what's going to be a really fun Big 12. It's not really an elite team, but it's super wide open. I mean, I just don't think Colorado's a good team. They have two really good players, and Shedeur Sanders, who's going to be a first-round pick most likely. They have a two-way sensation in Travis Hunter, who does some incredible stuff as a wide receiver, and then comes out and plays cornerback and does a pretty solid job for the Buffaloes, especially considering he's playing almost every snap. So he has to be pretty tired. But when it comes to coaching and in-game decisions from Deion Sanders and employing Pat Shurmur, who I don't think highly of as an offensive coordinator at all, and having no running game and having an offensive line that gives Sanders not a lot of help and being a bad defensive team. I know they held Colorado State to 9 points last week, but Colorado State is a complete mess. I don't think highly of them. And I know there might be some questions about Baylor's defense, but they have a head coach in Dave Aranda. Yeah, Dave Aranda, he's fighting for his job to stay in Waco. He was the defensive coordinator in 2019 for that LSU defense that helped him get the Baylor job. So I'm sure he's looking at that tape when Colorado played Nebraska in week 2 and just saying, I can drop back a lot of guys in coverage if I can pressure 4. And if you could pressure 4 on Colorado because their offensive line isn't very good. If you can get in Sanders' face, he can hold the ball for a while and make mistakes, or he doesn't make mistakes. He just takes sacks because he's afraid to make mistakes. So I do like Baylor here, who's going with probably Sawyer Robertson at quarterback, taking over for Daquan Finn, who got hurt in the Utah game and missed last week. I think Robertson, he's familiar with the system because he was familiar with playing for Baylor because he was there last year. He did pretty well against Air Force. I think he has another good opportunity here to have success against a Colorado defense I don't like. So I like Baylor here. Just take him on the money line.
I'm really between a rock and a hard place with this one because I have the Colorado win total under, and now I've put myself in a position to back the Colorado win here. This would be a great loss for that win total, but I think all the reasons that you mentioned are definitely valuable and good for a good reason to bet Baylor. However, I looked at some of the numbers for Baylor's defense, and you mentioned that they are somewhat of a weaker point, and I think some of their weaker points could be a reason why Colorado can be successful in that game. They are 88th in EPA per drop back for their opponents. They're 92nd in sacks per game. They only have 11 tackles for a loss this season. No matter how hard or easy the schedule is, only having 11 tackles for loss isn't great through how many games they've played. So there may be a chance that Shedeur Sanders does not get pressured as much as maybe people think. Now, I know his offensive line is not good in any way, shape, or form. We've seen that through a couple games, but if you're going to be playing a team at home that sometimes struggles to get to the quarterback, if Sanders gets a couple moments to throw the ball and is pressured a little bit less than he's used to, maybe we see that Colorado offense just really start to dominate and this becomes a shootout kind of a game. And in that instance, I'll probably lean toward the home team in Colorado, especially if we're going to see that type of a shootout game. But it's going to be close. This is going to be a back and forth game for sure. I think there's going to be moments in this game where both you and I are going to be like, well, we lost our bet, and then the tides are probably going to turn. So for a game like this, I'm going to back Colorado. This is our second headbutt in a row, so we got a lot on the line this weekend, Nate. But I do think this might hurt my win total under, unfortunately, for a game like this.
This is a game I'm actually going to bet, though. I'm going to bet the Baylor money line. I don't know if I can get there with Boston College leg 7. I'm not a big Michigan State guy as well. But yeah, no, I could see it. I think there's just like Colorado has a lot of like flash plays and the highlights all look good, but down to down and not being able to run the ball. And if they're a one-dimensional team, I think Dave Aranda is a smart enough defensive coach to recognize that and to do what he can to drop back and make Shedeur throw on him or make them run on them and invite them to run on them because they just don't want to run.
All right, before we get to a little bit of bonus time, you can rate, review, you can subscribe to the show, to the podcast. You can follow us on Twitter, on X. Our names are right below. Ben Wittenstein, Nate Jacobson 1. We tweet out our bets, our articles, everything like that. You can find us on thegamingjuice.com as well. But Nate, it's bonus time. We're ready for some bonus time, some big bets for this weekend, some extra bets that we like. I'll start with you because you got a little Big Ten play that you like.
Yeah, Minnesota plus 2.5. I mean, it's a game with a total of 35, I believe, 36.
God, that's so
As
low.
I'm going to check just quickly. Yeah, it's in the mid 30s, which is not good. 35 and there's 35, there's 36.5 out there, so it's mid 30s.
Honestly, too high.
It's a fate of Iowa and their offense on the road. I don't believe in Iowa. I don't believe they should be laying points on the road. And if they are, I'm probably going to take the other team if they're competent. I think Minnesota could run the ball a little better. I know their running back, Taylor, I believe it is. He was out of week 1 against North Carolina, but now he's back. So I do think they have some success there against an Iowa defense who was a little bit shaky against the likes of Troy in the second half against Iowa State. So yeah, I think Iowa is just kind of living off the reputation of being a consistent 10-win team, but I want to sell them, and I just don't believe in Caden McNamara. And now first road start, I think that they struggle here, and I'll take Minnesota. But I'm going to wait to see if this gets to +3 somehow, because if it gets to +3, that's so valuable in a game where it's expected to be first to 17 wins.
Yeah, no, I like that play as well. For total that low, go the underdog. All right, so this play,
yeah.
I know, Nate. I want you to tell the people what you said to me when I told you about this bet, because this is a tough game. Florida and Mississippi State.
What did I tell you?
You said you wouldn't bet your worst enemy's money on this game.
I did say that. I mean, how could it's if you want to back Billy Napier as a road favorite, almost a touchdown? I mean, what if the team's already quit on him? What if there was their Board of Regents meeting or whatever it's called on Sunday morning in Gainesville, and they already know his fate? They just don't want to fire him because they just need to, see if he could beat Mississippi State, who I know is horrible. But I'll let you have the floor. I'm guessing if I had to bet the game, I would say Florida is probably the right side because Mississippi State's that bad, and I mean Florida still has talent. But man, I don't know if I could personally put my money. But convince me. I'll let you have the floor.
I'll be 100% honest, and now it's honestly down to 6 at DK. So I'm gonna just put that in there because I'm gladly gonna take the 6. But to me, Nate, I honestly don't have any stats or anything to back this game up other than Mississippi State is bad. They are a bad football team. And Florida, I don't know. Maybe they have quit on Billy Napier. I know Napier's coaching for his job. He knows he's coaching for his job. But just the talent gap and the ability gap between these two teams, Florida's been through the grinder. Man, they've played some really tough teams. They've been in tough situations. I know a lot of them have been at home. And honestly, maybe a game like this where they get to leave the swamp, they get to get out, and they have the ability to not be in front of their home fans and disappoint anyone front facing. I think that could be honestly a helpful part of this game for Florida, but this is a game they should just be salivating at. This is Mississippi State. I mean, they're as close to a rebuild as you can be in college football. New head coach, players transferring. They have new transfers that are still getting used to the team, and honestly, some of them might not even be any good. So to me, this is a Florida team that if they're only laying 6, they should beat Mississippi State by double digits. They should. And they should have beat some other teams or at least made the games close in other games this season. They weren't able to do that. But, man, the talent gap for me in a game like this is just so large that I will gladly take Florida laying the 6.
Yeah, I guess. I feel like there's a lot better games to bet on this week.
It's going to be a sweat. It's somehow going to be a sweat.
I do like the point you made where it's like it's probably better they're away from Gainesville. I'd agree with that. And
the pressure's off.
If you think they've had a hard schedule already, they still have to play UCF, they have to play Tennessee, they have to play Georgia, they have to play Texas, they have to play LSU, and they have to play Ole Miss. Everyone's saying like that was a tough November with Florida State in the mix. Maybe they can beat Florida State this year with whoever's their interim coach, because if Billy makes it that far, then something really changed in terms of the Gators' fortunes.
They circled this on, you see how difficult that schedule is. Everyone and their grandmothers knew that Florida had the hardest schedule in the world this season. So if they circled a game that they could win easily, this is the game. This is the game they need to just go all out.
Yeah, no, definitely. You would just hope to perform better the last or the games against Miami and A&M.
Yes, that's very true. All right. Don't forget, you can rate and review us if you're watching this on YouTube or watching it on the Gaming Juice as well. Don't forget, you can create a free account. Our Twitter handles are right below there. You can create a free account at the Gaming Juice. Read Nate, read myself, read Brad. It's some great content. It's all free. You don't have to spend a dime. And you can even ask us questions. You can leave comments. You can be haters if you want on Twitter or on the website. It's great. We'll go and answer and read comments. But Nate, if you don't have anything else, we appreciate everyone watching and listening. Good luck on all your bets. Let's have a better week 2 for us than we did for our first week. And good luck to everyone and win some bets.